You know, Declan Rice has Odegaard in his team. Odegaard controls. He's the guy that controls everything in the midfield. Declan does the simple things, gets the ball, moves it and does it. And he's a really good player at doing the ABCs of football. England don't have an Odegaard to give the ball to and keep it for a long time. Gaza, one of his biggest strengths. You give it to Gaza, it was really hard to get it back. You know, but Bobby Robson knew that when he was picking him. So it's quite difficult to... Because you can go through about 5 players who play differently for their teams than they do for the international team.
Mm. Well, one specific area that Gareth Southgate is being called upon to address is the left-hand side. Sam Cunningham in The Independent says he has to make some big decisions out of left field, and he suggests Anthony Gordon as the solution. He's not the only person to do so. The Opta stats show that against Denmark, 44% of England's attacks were on the right-hand side, whereas only 23% of attacks were on the left.
That was blatantly obvious during the game.
It was.
The left side was so much... Well, Trippier... Look, I don't want to have a go at Phil Foden on this, but Phil Foden comes inside... Trippier don't go on the outside because he's not so comfortable on his left foot. No. And also he sees Foden going inside. His obvious ball is to do that. And which offers nothing to Kane as well in the centre-forward position because nothing's coming in from the left side. So it was so lopsided, the right side to the left.
Is Anthony Gordon the solution?
I think he can be a solution, but there are a lot... Again, what are the 2 priority decisions you need to make? Because there's more than 2 that he needs to, but I only think he can do 2 at a short term.
Well, we'll look into that in more depth, I think, a little bit
later. It's a long conversation
on
many players doing different roles, and it is that, you know, the headline of you said earlier about, you know, playing all the wrong notes. He's playing the right notes at the wrong time, you know.
But it kind of feels like we've gone back to the days of the trying to fit in Frank Lampard, Paul Scholes, Steven Gerrard. Obviously, it didn't really work with Paul Scholes at all. Very rarely featured, really. It was always Lampard and Gerrard that was favoured in a way. But it kind of feels like we're at that stage where he is trying to fit in all these star players. And yet maybe, like you say, he's got to be cutthroat and just to suddenly go, well, what's best for the team? Who's my best right back?
Who's my best left back?
What is the best for the team rather than what name looks right in this team? I want to get to this BBC reporters on Kane as well, because Kane has come in for a lot of stick as well, following that Denmark game in particular.
Yeah, nobody, I think, can accuse the BBC of not telling us what they really think. Obviously, after the Denmark match, there was a couple of clips that went really viral on social media. Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer not holding back on Harry Kane at all. Unusual from BBC reporters, which is what is being picked up by the papers. The Daily Mail is explaining why the BB team have gone from being fence cutters to rabble rousers. That's Nathan Saltz. And the Telegraph saying the BBC's biggest names have been transformed into lads down the pub. That's by Ben Rumsby. But interestingly enough, they both say that it increases the quality of their Euro 2024 coverage. However, obviously it has led to a lot of questions about Harry Kane. Lineker's no stranger to expressing his feelings, of course, but such strident criticism of Kane did seem new. We haven't really seen that before. There's a quote in there about commentators becoming emboldened to express opinions for social media. Do you think that's what it was?
Well, I think it's why it's so damaging, and you'd be upset, as Harry Kane would be upset by. It's the 2 golden boys of their generation as a centre forward for England. That carries a lot of weight when Gary Lineker, who for his time was the leading goal scorer in a World Cup, you know, and in a tournament, and then Alan Shearer, everyone knows what he's achieved in his career, they voiced their concerns regarding Harry Kane. That is coming from a very high place. That's not fans phoning in and you're thinking, that's from the 2 leading centre forwards of their generation. That's a pretty tough one.
I mean, if anyone can talk about it, they can, because they know what it's like to deliver.
And
yes,
Shearer,
they didn't win a major tournament for England, but they know what it's like to deliver or play on the biggest stage when it comes to these major tournaments. And you know what? Sometimes you need those harsh realities. And Kane wasn't at his best, certainly against Denmark. And you do have to wonder why that is. What is going wrong with Harry Kane? Why is he not linking up as well? Could it be the back problem that plagued him towards the end of the season, where he missed a couple of games against for Bayern Munich? And maybe we're just a bit like with Luke Shaw, they're very open about his injury issues, but maybe they've not really talked about Harry Kane still struggling a little bit.
I know we haven't got a lot of time in that, but Kane in itself is probably Gareth now one of his biggest issues. I don't think Trent is the bigger issue, because Trent is going to get left out.
Yeah.
Kane is debatable, what he's going to do. I think he'll stay loyal to him. But you've got to think of restructuring the team around Kane. Kane will get you goals. There's no doubt in my mind that he will get you goals. But you can't have someone so detached from the team because that is what's happened to him in these first 2 games of England. He looks like he's detached from the team. Now, that is a problem. So you, as a manager, have to resolve that.
Yeah.
So it's another long conversation of what do you do?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly all very disjointed and just doesn't seem to be much cohesion right now.
Was ist das? talkSPORT?